My name is Fatima Zara. I come from Morocco. I am currently in Morocco. I was MCVP OGT of ISEC in Morocco in the term 1819, then MCVP CXO of Malaysia 1920, and this year I am regional manager of PCC and OGX in ROAP. And this is my Instagram in case you want to connect. I love Instagram. I love creating content when I am free mostly, but yeah. I love doing covers, so if you love music, we can connect and watch each other's covers. So how was day 5 for you? Just tell me in the chat. Oh, thank you, Ali. Lermin, you don't want me to start sharing personal stories, right? So, okay, I need to tell you this. Never call me Fatima. That's like half my name. So if, for example, you call me Fatima, I will call you Lur instead of Lermin, or like Goo instead of Gooby. So let's be clear on that point. Cool. Amazing. Eventful, learned a lot, amazing, beautiful, fun. Okay. Cool. Thank you so much. Yeah. So quick question, did you start shaping the future after yesterday? Yes or no? Okay, well, shaping the future only happens by leading the change. So we're gonna see how we're gonna start leading the change today, basically in this 3 days of shaping the future. Wow, that's a lot. Okay, so a bit of reminder of Generation 2025, 3 statements basically, or like 3 culture elements: owning the present, shaping the future, and lead the change. And today is all about leading the change. So quick recap on what lead the change means. So it's basically, I understand the progress I have to make in order to lead the changes according to my role, which in our case is MCP. I have the capabilities and I am confident to lead. So the most 2 important elements in this statement is leading and change. And let's see what that means. So something I want to share with you is that change has always been there since I joined ISEC. This is not the first year we witnessed or like experienced change because of the pandemic or because of like a new term of AI or because of anything. Change has always been there in ISEC. In fact, change is the only constant in ISEC. You see, everything can change. Membership experience is changing. Programs, we're seeing new ones. Everything in ISEC can change. People come and go, but change is the only constant. So just let me know in the chat what are basically the changes you experienced in ISEC since the day you joined. Like, it doesn't have to be just the major stuff you experienced in your MC term or like your EB term. Yeah, let me know what are the changes you experienced in ISEC. Expa 3, right? Yeah, MC became more fun to hang out with. Okay. Expa 3, yeah. Okay, I don't want to ask you, how much do you use Expa right now, people? LC became nicer to LCs. Aww. Realization to complete, right? Cornerstone. Yeah, it changed and then changed, like, bye again. What's that? Cornerstone. Yeah, I expanded myself literally. Okay. And I've checked Expa maybe once in my term. Good job, Michael. GERIP, new standards. GERIP. ISEC experience. Yes. Oh my God, the app. I forgot about it. Need to check every. Oh, okay. Good job, Snake. Okay, I'm closing the chat. Thank you so much, but you can keep typing so the others can see what are the changes you experienced. So basically, starting from when I joined ISEC in 2016. My first conference happened in March 2016. This was my second conference. And as OGC DP member at that time, I experienced platform change. So we went into version 2 of Expa. There was like that white bear, and there were like few thinkies loading and stuff like that. We don't have them anymore. And there was customer flow change as well. Customer flow became clearer and stuff like that. And then later on, okay, when I was a member of OGCDP, my VP resigned. So I took on the role of LCVP in charge, and it was basically OGCDP. But like in the term I was elected as EB, we removed that structure of having OGCDP, IGCDP, IGT, and like products in the EB. And we created what we call unit director. So basically I was one unit director. We divided the market into 3 units because the city of Casablanca was so big. So that was one. And then there was the program change. From GCDP, we moved into GV, or I think there was a change in between, and then we moved into GV. I don't remember. It was like a lot of years ago. Then in 17, 18, I also changed as a developing leader. I experienced values change. So basically, I started understanding more the values that I want to live by. Mindset change, because I was meeting a lot of people, so I understood what diversity means from my exchange first, because I went to GV in Ukraine in 2016, and from receiving EPs in my city. And well, I experienced a lot of hair change. So this is my hair journey, couple of sharing here, if anyone can relate, that's very great. And then later on next year as MCVP OGT, we experienced the change of how we measure impact. So GV had the impact measurement framework, and then how we manage products. There was a lot of education about S&D, about persona, about market, and all of that, and how we manage processes. Basically, there was the SOPs, and with steering team, we create, like, for example, for GT, the sub products and like the usage of the sub products and all of that, and also how we use platforms. I remember my IGV was getting crazy with how to implement POP with the partners that were there since like a long time ago, and they don't know how to use these kind of platforms. Then 1 year down the road in 1920, which is basically the last term, as MCVP CXO, I experienced the change of organizational focus, basically after the pandemic. So besides that, like there was the simplification in the roadmap, like we had a reduction of the foundational and non-foundational projects in order for entities to be able to measure better the projects and be able to actually implement them. We not changed, but we evolved in the way we relate what we do more to leadership, because exchange wasn't happening for a while, and like we needed to figure out, okay, like our members need to understand how what we are doing relates more to leadership. And then of course the organizational focus. I remember we had a summit in the last weekend of February 2020 in Malaysia. It was happening from Friday to Sunday. On Thursday, I was sick. As I was coming out of the hospital, my MCP is calling me, Pati, we need to change the agenda of the summit because COVID is getting bad. And then we got with all the MC in the office, Lermin was there, and we changed the whole agenda of the summit. Then the FASIs, the ESC, everyone came to the MC house and we started working on the sessions again. And it was crazy, like building capacity in the LCs with the new focus, which is like YSF and EWA. And then 1 year again down the road as RO, we are experiencing a lot of changes, basically organizational culture, which like one of the statements is what we are talking today, membership program and programs direction, and a lot of changes. And I just chose this picture that Tony took during one of the global structure calls, because like just look at our faces and how we're coping with the changes. So yeah, we're in the same boat together. Don't worry, you guys, we got your back when it comes to understanding how it feels to have a lot of changes happening. Just ask any of the RO members and they can share with you their experience in dealing with changes. So yeah, many changes happened in ISEC, as you see, like throughout the years. And it doesn't matter actually the changes that are happening, because world is changing. Of course, there are going to be changes. What matters more is how we approach the changes that are happening. So either we manage the changes and we do something about it, or either we don't manage the changes. Then it's like letting someone else make the decision for you. It's either external factors in this fast changing world. So not managing the changes is like, it's like making a change, but like not making a change. It's going through the change and maybe you're going to be left behind. So the change is not up to you and the consequences might not be the changes that you like to see, if that makes sense. So going back to the term that I want to talk more about, which is when I was MCVP OGT, and I think a lot of you guys are going to relate, since GT is coming, like is now the focus of ISEC as a whole. So actually when I applied to MC in Morocco, I applied to be MCVP BD, but I wasn't taken for that. I was allocated OGT, and that was the shock of my life. Why? Basically, OGT in Morocco was like, you know, the shittiest department that, I don't want to say this, but like the bad profiles get allocated to, that TM like just puts in structure because we need to fulfill HR quota and stuff like that. So there was small HR. We didn't have enough members. There were a few LCs running. I think in the beginning there were like 4 LCs. Imagine OGT culture in a GV entity. I know most of you are going to relate because most AP entities are basically GV focused entities. There was no culture in the departments. There was very basic experience, like from what my predecessor built as a foundation, and there was very inconsistent IR. Basically, people were applying everywhere and not getting accepted everywhere. So what I had to work on in my term was change of structure, raising IR, educating the LCs, expanding the markets to have more LCs, investing in leaderships and like education and partnership and all of that, and building synergy with marketing, with OD, even with operations team in order to make sure that other departments don't take over the image that I want to give to OGT. But what mattered more, beside all these changes, which basically I mentioned 6 of them, is this. It's the mindset and the culture that I built around this change that I wanted to bring of how people perceive OGT. I don't know if you know this, but OGT was called because the elephant is a very heavy animal, and since GT had a very long process and not a lot of people wanted to work on it, so it was like the elephant in the room of each LC. So our motto was like, let's make it jump. So just imagine an elephant jumping and running. So that's what we wanted to do for GT. We wanted to shake everyone and tell them like, we need to make GT jump. So it was around the culture and the mindset that we needed to set around this change. So yeah, more sharing about the experience that I had with OGT and the change management that I needed like to make sure it happens with the commission in order to, how can I say, like make it appear more desirable to run OGT in LCs. So as you can see in the first generation, we had 6 LCVPs, like some of them are from the same LC basically, or like startup or expansion. And then the second generation just look at how many people are there. There are team leaders, there are members, there are more VPs, and we even had invited some IGT partners from the Netherlands in one national conference. So out of this, we had 3 MCVPs like elected from my commission. One of them was my successor, one of them is my successor's successor, and one of them went to MC in Bahrain. We had 3 LCPs from the commission and 4 returners. So imagine like a commission that didn't have almost anything like in the beginning and grew like to have pipeline and succession inside of the entity. And from 6 LCs in the beginning of my term, we went to 11 LCs running OGT by the end of the year. And this also like resulted in performance. That's important, but like pipeline and succession is more important for me when it comes to the way like we were driving culture. So we actually had like the honor to win 3 awards in the year, like the 3 OGT awards in that term. The IPM award, the partnership IC award, and the OGT excellence award in IC. And I believe that the impact continues because whatever change you do, whatever achievements you work on, be sure that it's not for your term, it's for the 2, 3, 5 years after your term. And that's something I learned later on in my MC term in Malaysia when we started like talking a lot about this kind of continuity and how what you do now matters for what comes next. So again, it's how we approach changes that matter. We could have decided to just work on processes, keep educating people, keep micromanaging the LCs, keep making sure every process is implemented, all EPs are tracked, but it wasn't just about that. It was about creating the right culture and setting the right mindset around the change. So I want to share with you something which is basically 2 approaches that we can have towards change management. One is called the entrepreneurial approach, and the other one is called the purposeful approach. So let me go through the entrepreneurial approach first. If I am going fast, I can see Gubi, Michael, and Prayog just do this as a sign if I am too fast. And if you have any questions or sharing, just drop it in the chat whenever I open it. I'm going to see it. Cool. So for the entrepreneurial approach, it's like E is the enthusiasm, the energy, and like just think of it as the start point. So when you want to do something, work on a project, you have an idea, you have something new that you want to do, you start with enthusiasm and like a lot of energy. Then you work on it naturally, like with whatever comes to your mind, you go with your nature. Then you reach maybe a point of disappointment, like you're really close to the natural ceiling of achievement, which is like the yellow line, but something happened and then you're disappointed. And maybe you try again, but then you're disappointed and then you give up and maybe you look for a new job or activity or a new idea. Then the cycle continues like that. And maybe when you find something new again, like you go into the achievement in this case, which is again energy and enthusiasm, because what you are driven by here is the feeling, it's the enthusiasm and the energy. Let's see the difference between this, what I just explained, and the purposeful approach. So what I see as a difference. So just like your stage 1 observation on what is the difference between the first approach and this one. You can open your mic and tell me, or you like can just drop in the chat. What are the differences?
Sorry, Fatih, what's the question?
Yes, so this is the entrepreneurial approach.
Yeah.
And this is the purposeful approach. So like from what I explained about the first approach, what do you think is the difference with the second one? Like just from primary observation. Persistence, vision, both. Momentum through clear purpose, okay. Yeah, all the points are valid. Okay, so basically, what is the difference? Yes, you are right, guys. First, this approach is persistent, so you know where you are heading to, like you know what is your purpose, you know what is your goal, so you are persistent towards it. This purpose can be a vision, it can be a direction, it can be a goal that is measurable. So whatever your purpose is, different people with different personalities and like the way they think set different purposes. That's okay. Ali said momentum through clear purpose. Yes, so basically your purpose keeps the momentum going. Like you don't go into these cycles of course there will be disappointments, but like the road is clear because you know where you want to head. Like for example, if you're driving a car and you say, I want to reach from uni to my house, whatever road that you're gonna go in, you know the final destination. So you're not gonna get more demotivated and say, no, I will just go back and stay in uni. You know, you are heading home, right? That's what's different about this and this approach. So when you have a purpose and it is clear for you, you are focused. So whatever you do, the actions that you take all matter to that purpose. You don't, of course, you can keep trying different stuff, but while trying, you figure out if those stuff are serving your goal or not because you know what it is. Then second, you start creating models. So I'm going to give you a concrete example so you can visualize what I'm talking about. Let's say when we wanted, okay, in the year of 2018, with the GT steering team, we wanted to have more structured S&D. We wanted to have better alignment of supply and demand for GT products. So that's our purpose. So the focus was to create, let's say, more processes or like more definition on how we can create alignment in S&D. The model was the creation of the sub-products. So at that time we had 7 sub-products. Teaching was still one of them. It was still not global teacher. And the system that we needed to do is like, for example, the trackers that have the new sub-products. Another system was like having the sub-products, or as they are called, work fields inside the platform and all of that. So that was the system. After that, we had like more breakthrough when it comes to alignment. Basically, more IR conversations had sub-products inside of them. More sales processes in different entities of IGT had sub-products inside of them. So that's when we had the breakthrough of S&D alignment. So you can take this example and project it on whatever departments that you experienced in the past and see how this approach worked for you or not. And then like, what is your learning from it? So basically purpose beats enthusiasm every time. It doesn't matter if you're doing things unnaturally, that's normal, because like in order to achieve goals, you need to set actions that match those goals. And I just recalled like a quote from a book called 10X that I'm not mentioning in this session, but if you have the chance to go and read it, 10X book, basically it says, when you set massive goals, you need massive actions to do them. So basically, if you have a goal, I will give stupid example. Don't think it's just about approvals, okay? If you want to achieve one approval, okay, the goal of your entity is literally one approval. Your plan should be a plan that drives you to reach 10 approvals. So you should multiply your goal by 10 in order to set massive actions that will make you reach your goal, if that makes sense. So this is almost like, what is the purposeful approach about? You know the purpose. So you do unnatural things. You don't go with what is natural in order to achieve your purpose. And I have here 2 questions for you. Like when you think that you have as MCP, do you think that you are doing the best you can do in the plans that you have, or are you doing the best that can be done what is the difference? The best we can do is like 7 per 10. For example, what I want to do for the region is to have better supply, more qualified supply in the region. So I can just go analyze all the data of OGT in AP and all the data of IGT in AP and tell entities which entities they should work with, in which timeline, and how many approvals and realizations they should have. So let's say this is the best I can do because I can analyze data, I can map out strategies, and I can implement them. But the best that can be done is me teaching the entities how to do this, because it's going to be a legacy that is customized more to the context of their entities. So think about whatever like you want to do, not necessarily all your MC plan or like all your MCP vision. One simple action that you wanted to do today, it can be even outside of ISEC. Is that the best you can do, or is the best that can be done? So with this reflection in mind, I want you to think about these two questions. Remember any changes you've done in your experiences and what are their impacts on the entity today? And second one is, what would have happened if you didn't make that change, or if you let someone else decide for you, like external context, COVID in our case, for the past 1.5 years. So yeah, just think about these two questions, and then Krish is gonna help me send you guys into your tribes, and you're gonna have a discussion for 15 minutes. I just counted like 4 people per tribe, 3 minutes sharing and 3 minutes buffer in case someone has more sharing to say. So yeah, I will send this screenshot in the MCP group so you can still see it in the breakout. Cool. So just repeating. Just repeating the question, the impact today. It can be from your member, team leader, 2 sharings. Gonna time them because we have limited time. Or I can help you.
Okay, I'll go. This is from Tribe 1. We are Tribe Macha. Basically, we had so many nice stories. So most of the stories are from the MCDP terms. Basically, our fun and Eliza, it's related to their function IGT and the changes that they have made. And also when it comes to VJ, it's about shifting the roles consistently and then making changes on the MCPTM role. And then when it comes to myself, it's about changing stuffs when it comes to showcasing. So overall, what we understood was like we are constantly making changes, and the changes are very important, and after making that change, the things are getting a little bit difficult, but we have to go through that hurdle, then we are getting the return out of it. So the first half of it would be difficult to handle, but then it will be really, really beneficial for your entity and for you as well. So that's what we learned.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Baruka, for your sharing. We learn from the challenges, and that's what's beautiful about ISEC. The difficult part is also very enjoyable to live. Can we have 1 second last sharing? Like, I mean, the second and the last sharing, and then we can move on.
Okay, there we go. Michael has been asking me for so long. Okay, so we have very interesting stories, and all of them actually align into different themes. So for example, like Fee, her story, it's more about during her membership year, how she step up in front of like many people to deliver some content in front of the EPs. And for Shuhei, it's about challenging the norm in the entity. And for Michael, it's a very random opening of an LLC, which is like, which aligns like we are always changing according to what's happening around us, and we're needing that courage to do what's different. Yeah, so this is what we've talked about in our track.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Andrew, for your sharing. That's very good. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Isuru is clapping. Thanks for your encouragements. Yeah, so we have the share already. Oh, you see the emoji there? Okay, so earlier I shared with you, like, when you choose not to manage the change is a choice in itself. From a conversation like I was having with Brian, like not making a choice is making a choice as well. You're making a choice not to manage the change, and that comes with consequences like I mentioned earlier. But when you like decide to manage or like make the choice to start the changes from yourself, then you have better consequences or like better results. In which way? First, you prepare your resources. So when you don't neglect the change that is happening, because anyway, change is going to happen. This is something that needs to get in our belief system. Changes are happening, okay? Don't tell yourself or your team, oh no, we decide not to change. You're going to change anyway, because if all the organization is changing and you're not changing, you're still changing, but like changing backwards, not forward. So when you manage or start the change by yourself, you prepare your resources, you prepare your structure, you prepare your finance, for like, for example, GV change management. You're preparing your finance into giving back, what is it called? Refunds to people. And you analyze the risks, for example, in order to be able to mitigate them. You manage your timeline in order not to get overwhelmed. So imagine that you don't care about the change, and then at once everything comes and you need to manage everything in the same time, so you get overwhelmed. So these are a couple of things that are like the implications of when you decide to manage or like start a change. So that was the last thing that I wanted to share about you, which is like very practical. Just think about these 4 things of the implication, and there can be more of them based on your experience. So yes, thank you, Isuru. Remember, change is the only constant, and that should be one of your main takeaways from this session. And I will be curious to read what are your main takeaways for this session in the feedback form. Don't forget to fill it later on this evening. And I will leave you right now with Prayog for agenda announcements.
Nice. Can I share screen? Thank you so much, Fatih, for this amazing morning plenary for everyone. That's nice. Nice. Thank you so much. So for the AM announcements, one quick one, like this is the agenda for today. If you see, we're talking about leading change today. We just finished the morning plenary. After this, we have an amazing partner block from Institute of Risk Management about risk management and decision making. It's very interesting. In the morning also, I shared like a document with your link with you to